morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told how to voice the radio. So today, we need to be taking a look at Sandaconda V. Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Sandaconda is getting a V. Now, our translation here comes from the lovely Antoine Boulet. And the lovely Antoine Boulet has gone and pointed out something that I thought about immediately upon seeing this card. We know that Sandaconda has a Gigantamax form. I refuse to believe in the Sword and Shield block they're going to give us random Pokemon Vs of Pokemon that have Gigantamax forms without giving us the Gigantamax forms. That makes no real sense to me, and I refuse to believe it's happening. So there is going to be a Sandaconda V Max. I would imagine that that is going to be the case in V Max Rising, which is the one we're talking about here. No confirmation about that, but come on. We all know it's happening. So that's something to look forward to. For now, we only actually have a scan of the V. So let's have a chat about the V, shall we? Now, if we have a look at the basics, we've got 220 HP, which, I'll be honest with you, is pretty gosh darn high for Pokemon V. It's right up there with stuff like Stonejourner, as I want to say the highest we've seen. It's pretty gosh darn high. And you've got a retreat cost of 3, which sucks, because it means you're not quite high enough to use buff padding or be searched out with Pokemaniac, so boo for that. We've got a weakness to grass, which is a weird one, because it looks like Rillaboom decks might actually be getting pretty good in the Sword and Shield metagame, and a weakness to Rillaboom could therefore be a bit rubbish. But you're a fighting Pokemon. That's weakness on Morpeko V. That's weakness on Snorlax V Max. That is weakness on Silvally GX. Yeah, it's actually pretty gosh darn good, ladies and gentlemen. There are an awful lot of really good Pokemon that you're going to be hitting for weakness here, and that is a very, very nice thing indeed. And you're a fighting Pokemon, so you can use Diancie Prism Star to do extra damage. Or you can use Martial Arts Dojo to do extra damage. You can use Vitality Band, though that isn't confined to fighting Pokemon. It's a good time to be a fighting Pokemon, but what does it actually do? Well, according to the lovely Antoine Boulet, our first attack here, 1 fighting energy, 30 damage, attach a fighting energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon. I like it. Now, generally speaking, and I've been very honest about this, I am not a huge fan of attacks that attach energy to the Pokemon using the attack. So, something like Reshiram GX, for instance, which has got an attack that lets you search your deck for 2 fire energy and attach them to this Pokemon, not been a fan. And the reason is, you're not actually doing any damage, all you're doing is advancing your board position. But you then let your opponent essentially have a free hit on you. And if they knock you out, they get 2 prizes, because it's a Pokemon V, and all you've done is attach energy, but you lost the energy when you got KO'd. You essentially just sat there, did very little, and then your opponent took 2 prizes. Not usually a huge fan. But there are 2 reasons why I actually really like this attack on Sandaconda. And the first one is, it's a fighting Pokemon. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Fighting Pokemon don't actually do the amount of damage it says on the tin. They do more. Now, it is 30 damage, but if you've got a Diancie Prism Star on the field, that 30 damage actually becomes 50 damage. If you've got a Martial Arts Dojo, that 50 damage becomes 60 damage. If you are behind on prizes, that 50 damage instead becomes 90 damage. With a Vitality Band, you add 10 more, so you're either now up to doing 70, or you're up to doing 100. And if I'm doing 70 or 100 damage while attaching an energy to myself, then I'm not just accelerating energy. I'm doing a decent amount of damage. Hopefully I'm against some kind of evolving deck, and I'm knocking out an Inkay, or I'm knocking out a Poipole, or something along those lines. And now all of a sudden, I'm taking a prize while advancing my board position. And maybe my opponent does go and get a one-hit KO anyway and take 2 prizes. Well, if they do, they do. Hopefully I'm going to be paying enough attention. Hopefully I'm going to be reading the board state well enough here that I'm going to be using this in a situation where I can afford to use this. Cool. Here's the other thing though. The second attack. You see, the second attack does 220 damage for free energy. Now you do have to discard 2 of them, which kind of sucks. But for the time being, 220 damage, free energy. Okay. The problem is, fighting doesn't really have great energy acceleration. If you're a psychic Pokemon, hey look, we've got Malamar. If you're a water Pokemon, hey look, we got Frostmoth. If you're a grass Pokemon, Rillaboom's your boy. If you're a fighting Pokemon, it's not so great. We do have Karate Belt, which will reduce your attack cost by 1 fighting energy if you're behind. That's quite nice, but that's it. Not great. So you use the first attack, do a bunch of damage, attach an energy to Sandaconda, and then you can use a big second attack. And it is a big second attack. I mean, 220 right off the bat, KO's Pokemon V. I told you, Sandaconda, I think the only one that's got more than 220 is Zamazenta V, that's got 230. So any of these things I'm talking about that let you do a bit more damage, any one of them and you're KOing any Pokemon V. Any one at all. It will get your basic GXs. It will get your stage 1 GXs even if they're not weak. Think things like Naganadel. And it will get anything that's weak. Anything that's weak is being hit for 440. So something like Snorlax V Max, if it's 340, even if you're not adding any extra damage, you're doing 440, Snorlax V Max is going down. But I told you we should be adding up to 70 extra damage. 24 Diancie, 40 for Martial Arts Dojo, 10 for Vitality Band. You're essentially adding either 40 damage or 70 damage, depending on whether you're behind on prizes. Which means this 220 is either 260 or 290. When you're up to 290, the only things you're not KOing are the biggest tag teams like Magikarp and Wailord, and Pokemon VMAXs that aren't weak. The weakest ones are 300. Think something like Meowth. Now, Meowth is weak, so you're fine. But to be fair, the only ones that have got 300 HP at the moment are actually Meowth, which is weak, and Morpeko, which is weak, which is kind of upsetting. Hurts my example. But the point is, any VMAXs that aren't weak, you won't be getting. 260 is not ideal. 260 leaves you 10 damage short of a Reshiram and Zekrom, or a Reshiram and Charizard, or a Mewtwo and Mew, for instance. It's not perfect, I'll give you that. But outside of that, you're getting pretty much everything. This is a good Pokemon. The first attack, I love for accelerating energy, and the second attack just hits for big damage. Now, you can play around with the second attack a little bit. It's not easy, but if you're behind on prizes, you can use Karate Belt. You've then got 1 fighting energy, and maybe you use Malamar, or Welder, or my personal favourite, Tapu Koko Prism Star. To be clear, I'm not saying that this is some phenomenal way that is definitely going to work and break the format, but I am saying if you play just a little bit of lightning energy, get 1 or 2 in a discard, use Tapu Koko Prism Star to attach 1 to Sandaconda, then attach a Karate Belt and a fighting energy for your turn, you can have Sandaconda going in a single turn, doing 220 damage. You could do this turn 1. You would have to put yourself behind on prizes using Miss Magius, and it's an awkward old combo. I ain't saying this is an easy combo to just pull off whenever you feel like it, but I'm saying that using a Tapu Koko, especially after a Miss Magius, and then getting a Karate Belt and an energy is possible, and I'm also saying that hitting 220 turn 1 is huge. The Pokemon we've been talking about doing big turn 1 attacks going second lately have been Tapu Koko, using Thunder Mountain and Tapu Koko Prism Star to do 200, or Reshiram and Charizard using Welder to do 200 with its GX attack. Here, you can do 220, that's actually more. It's more awkward, but it's possible. I'm giving Sandaconda, I don't know. I'm giving it 4 Wassies. I think that's ever so slightly high, but I can't just pause forever. I'm recording a video, gosh darn it. I think we can play around a bit with that second attack, and there's a VMAX coming as well. You know there's got to be. I think there's a lot to be excited about here. But I'd like to know what you think, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are still pretty gosh darned awesome. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.